The scenes of devastation and dislocation are beyond anything our sector or indeed our nation has endured in living memory. Hurricane Melissa has dealt a devastating blow to our agricultural sector, to our rural communities, to our farm families. Many of our farmers and fishers are dealing with loss of home and loss of livelihood. Their farms have been flattened, boats and marine gear ravaged. Still, the spirit of the Jamaican people reigns supreme. On Tuesday the 28th of October, Hurricane Melissa made landfall on Jamaica's southwestern coast as a Category 5 system with sustained winds in excess of 260 kilometers per hour. The parishes of Westmoreland, St. James, Hanover, St. Elizabeth and parts of Manchester, which are among our most productive, bore the brunt of the storm, and of course Trelawney, reversing hard-won production gains and posing immediate risk to food security, price stability and livelihoods. Prior to Hurricane Melissa, members, the agricultural sector was experiencing robust growth. In fact, up to September 2025, we were 7% ahead of our best year ever. And based on our projections, our domestic crop production was estimated to reach 930,000 tons by year end, which would have been 10% above our record of 846,000 tons. Such growth represented significant progress towards our national food security goals and our rural development targets. However, regrettably, the hurricane's impact threatens to undo these gains, with serious implications for the wider economy. This late-season, high-intensity event is a stark reminder of the vulnerability of small island developing states, the reality of climate change, and the urgency of strengthening resilience as we respond to the immediate crisis. Our preliminary assessment, conducted in collaboration with RADA, NFA, NIC, Banana Board, and our other agencies, revealed approximately 41,390 hectares of farmland has been affected, impacting over 70,000 farmers with a loss of over 1.2 million animals, including small ruminants. The up-to-date assessments put the financial loss to the agricultural sector at $29.5 billion. The hurricane's wrath spared little in our agricultural sector. In relation to domestic crops, we lost about 32,400 hectares of our vegetable lines, amounting to an estimated $8 billion in loss, affecting 47,500 farmers. The crops that were most significantly impacted include sweet pepper, tomato, lettuce, cabbage, carrot, and vine crops like melon and cantaloupe also suffered a significant blow. Our banana and plantain crops, covering 2,450 hectares, have losses estimated at $2.9 billion, impacting 2,760 farmers. In fact, almost all our commercial banana and plantain crop has been negatively impacted. Fruit trees covering 1,870 hectares have damages estimated at $337 million, affecting 4,500 farmers. Unfortunately, our yam farmers were not spared Hurricane Melissa's blow. Tuber crops, yams, cassava, covering 4,670 hectares, have lost it estimated at $4.5 billion, impacting 6,120 farmers. Almost 70% of our yam crop for this year has been lost. Coffee has sustained a 40% damage to trees, with a 40 to 45% loss of production at an estimated value of $800 million. In relation to livestock, our poultry sector was severely hit. We lost 458,000 layer birds, which is about 50%, a little bit more than 50% of our laying flock. We lost 780,000 broilers, amounting to about $2 billion in damage. To put into perspective, for Hurricane Beryl, in total, we lost about 300,000 birds. In this instance, we've lost over 1 million birds from Hurricane Melissa. We have reports of 3,560 small ruminants, 5,600 pigs, 2,850 cattle, combined losses of $3.1 billion. Our apiculture sector, that sometimes is not spoken about a lot, but is critical to the agricultural ecosystem because of the roles of bees in our ecosystem, lost about 2,000 bee colonies, amounting to $74.5 million in damage. 38 greenhouses covering 56,000 square feet, about 337 kilometers of farm roads have been damaged, 217,1800 square feet of farm buildings, and the ministry itself, Madam Speaker. Places like Mount Pelion, Hounslow suffered tremendous infrastructural damage. Our export center at the Montego Bay Airport suffered tremendous infrastructural damage. In total, our ministry and agencies suffered infrastructure damage amounting to $1.5 billion. Our officials heeded our cause. To be honest, when I moved around before Hurricane Melissa, a number of them very early, from the Thursday or the Friday, had brought in their vessels, brought in their boats to distances, Madam Speaker, that would reasonably have them secure. However, the storm surge that came with this Category 5 hurricane was like nothing our officials have ever experienced. The National Fisheries Authority went out to 148 fishing beaches. Numerous of our most affected parishes have suffered infrastructural damage. In fact, in places like White House, Bluefields, complete devastation of the fishing infrastructure. Galleon, Calabash Bay, you don't see the gear sheds that used to host our engines, and the same for Parity. In fact, we estimate about $2.74 billion in infrastructure damage to our fisheries sector. Our aquaculture sector suffered about $36 million in losses, affected about 41% of our fish farmers. Probably where our fishers suffered the most impact is the fact that we have accounted for 3,289 vessels that have been damaged or destroyed by Hurricane Melissa, which is actually 45% of our national fleet of fishing vessels, with losses estimated at $2.9 billion. Total impact on our fisheries sector is $5.76 billion. The mining sector suffered significant damage, particularly in the western region. The damage there was really concentrated on some of our major quarries, including quarries like Hodges, Coast to Coast, Limecore. A number of them suffered damage to office infrastructure, access road, and in some cases, significant damage to plants. Our bauxite and alumina sector would have suffered varying degrees of damage, some minor, some mid. However, the good news is that they all have embarked on rehabilitation work, and Windalco, Jamaica, and Discovery are operating as we speak. The damage is extensive and heart-wrenching. Yet the indomitable spirit of our farmers and fishers gives me hope that even amid the destruction, they are assuring us that they are determined to rebuild their lives and keep food on our nation's table.